GWATA TV gives you a first look at North Central Washington's business news. You'll hear from our local business, tech, and education companies as Jenny discusses hot topics and current events with some of the best innovators and pioneers in North Central Washington.
Hello, North Central Washington. I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and I want to welcome you to GWATA TV. GWATA is the region's technology alliance. We are a nonprofit with a mission to bring people and technology resources together. On each episode of GWATA TV, I get the pleasure of interviewing different individuals, businesses, educators, and students who are making an impact or have some advice in one of GWATA's 3 focus areas: technology, entrepreneurship, or STEM education. Season 5 of GWATA TV has given us an opportunity to dive into 2 focus areas: workforce of the future and broadband. Both of these focus areas make a big impact on our region and in the world. In discussing workforce of the future, of course, we've got to talk about entrepreneurs. According to Inc.com, entrepreneurs are perpetually at the leading edge of the economy. They generate half of all private sector jobs, payroll, and output. And to that end, as of 2018, over 15 million people in the US were working as entrepreneurs, with or without employees. In today's episode, I'm going to interview 2 different guests whose companies are uniquely positioned to help entrepreneurs at different stages. As we can all imagine, the path to entrepreneurship can be challenging, capital intensive, and dynamic, especially in our fast-paced technology environment and world. I'm excited to learn alongside you as we talk to both Prota Ventures and Success Optimizers, and specifically dive into what their unique companies are doing both locally and across the US to support entrepreneurs. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back on the NCW Life channel after this short break. We're back on GWATA TV, and I'd like to introduce our first guest today, Perry Azevedo, General Partner with Prota Ventures. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on air and talk more about your background, experience, and also you're with a really cool company. Proto Ventures is doing some really dynamic things for entrepreneurs. But before we get there, for our audience, let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure, yeah. I got started in design and web development at like a really early age. I was, playing around on the internet. How do these things work? Right click, view source, and started teaching myself to program that way, just looking under the hood of these websites. I actually graduated Eastmont here in 2000, and in 98, when I was a junior, they had a experimental web class they started, and I was a part of that class. I can't remember, it was like maybe 10 people, 98. And then it was so successful that the next year, it blew up. We were in a much bigger classroom. Douglas County came in and started working with us. I actually got hired out of that class when I graduated and designed and made the first website for Douglas County, which is kind of fun.
That was really fun.
I know. So that was kind of like the beginning of my career path into design and web development. And went to the Valley College here, got my AA, but then after that, there really wasn't a lot of web jobs at that time here in Wenatchee. So I moved to Seattle, where I got into design and tech. Ended up working for a couple startups, e-commerce, Evo over there, which a lot of people are familiar with. I was working with them really early on. Worked with a company called Puget Systems, which does custom computer companies. Ended up working in the nonprofit sector and even a creative agency that a couple buddies of mine started. Through that whole time, though, I really got excited about digital products and creating those and what goes into early companies. I ended up getting a job with Squarespace out in New York, kind of through that decade in Seattle. So moved to New York with my family, worked for them for 2 years. While I was out there, they went from 200 employees, much bigger than these startups I was working with in Seattle. Went from 200 employees to 600 in 1 year.
Squarespace is a huge player in the market.
Huge player, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know how big, but much bigger. They're in Europe, they're in Portland. They're all over. So yeah, while I was out there, learned just a ton more about what it takes to build a company from small to just like big, and that also kind of my own experience just like focused me on. I really like that early stage development of companies, going from 0 to 100, trying to figure out like how to build the plane while you're flying,
right.
That kind of a thing. So it was kind of out of that led to the kind of the start of Proto Ventures.
Okay. So you're homegrown Wenatchee guy, moved away, did startups, big city life, decided to move back to this area when?
We moved back here about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Prota Ventures, which you're a general partner on, is kind of based out of Chicago, right? So how did you end up now on this new path with Prota Ventures?
Sure.
And then, of course, I want to dive into the work that you're doing there.
Sure. So a bunch of the connections I made in the tech industry in Seattle kind of led to that. One of my good friends from that community, Will Little, he's a serial entrepreneur. He moved to Chicago. He had started a code school in Seattle called Code Fellows at the time, and they were looking at expanding into the Chicago market. He had a bunch of friends in Chicago, so he moved out there, kind of in the middle of that. While he was there, Chicago was in this interesting place where, kind of when I first moved to Seattle, it was still pretty young in its growth as a tech city, and Chicago was at that same stage when he moved. And so he actually gave me a call while I was in New York and said, hey, I've been researching these startup studios, kind of like went into the details of what those are. I got really interested in that model and moved to Chicago to kind of figure out what it would look like for us to start one of those. And as I was there, just started getting to know the kind of the entrepreneurial landscape in Chicago, the tech community, the investor network there. And as we were there, I mean, our network grew, and we started working on projects, and it was kind of out of that growing network and all the various projects we were working on that we formed Prota.
So you went out to Chicago with Will Little. Great guy. I've had a pleasure of having him come out to Tech Talks, and he's getting really involved with our community. So is all of Proto Ventures team. And now you're obviously leading some initiatives right here in our backyard. Tell me what Prota does for entrepreneurs.
Sure, yes. So startup studios are still kind of a new model. Ours is a little unique even in that. But what a startup studio is, in the kind of the tech world, there was a lot of efforts to reduce the risk for investors in new startups, right? There were the accelerators and the incubators and just a ton of different trial and error. And through that, we've learned a lot of stuff. Like in the incubation model, it really highlighted the need for like early stage validation, making sure you have stage gates to kill ideas and iterate, right? In the accelerator model, it really highlighted the need for network support. I mean, I forget the exact numbers, but the chance of a startup to succeed in an accelerator is it's like, I think 4 times higher or something,
And so to really simplify it, hopefully not crude, it's like get an entrepreneur in and determine if that business has weight right away. Don't let them spend a year struggling.
So the kind of the strength to put it succinctly, the strength of a startup studio is instead of focusing in one business, we can focus across many. We can iterate with each of those, right? And we can also, it's kind of like a factory. You can take the factory model, like you can learn from all the different experiences you have and apply those learnings across a portfolio as opposed to just one business. So we come alongside early stage founders as well as bigger companies that have innovation wings and figure out how we can help them, whether that's with design, development, mechanical engineering, business development, marketing, and then we'll invest our time, our energy, and sometimes even our capital into helping get those early stage companies further along. And then often we're doing that through both of our effort, and then like I said, sometimes we'll deploy capital. So we have 3 wings. We have kind of like a lab, which is like that incubation thing. We've got agency wing, which we call our studios, and that's like full-blown agency. And then we have our own fund, and that's where we will deploy funds.
You're kind of reinvesting back into some of the founders
Yes.
you're working with as part of the process.
Yep.
Now, entrepreneurs, often they're visionaries, leading edge, right? But they don't have the accounting skill set, the design skill set, because people aren't all things, right? Right.
So I think the team.
Right. So you're able to provide reinforcement in areas maybe that they don't have that skill set or expertise, so that they can build that company.
That's the whole idea. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your team works really heavily on that design piece, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have, so the studio side, we have several studios within our group, and we have a design studio, we have an engineering studio, we also have a physical goods studio where they do design and development for like physical products, and then we have a growth team, does growth, marketing, business strategy, and then we also have actual guys who've, CEOs, CFOs, CTOs who've been at large companies that will do business development. So we'll do any of those.
Now, some studio models, the entrepreneur, it's in a physical space, in-house, all of the team is there, but that's not the model at Prota Ventures. And why? Tell me more, and why?
Well, as we were in Chicago, getting to know lots of people, working on different projects, we, just because of we live in this amazing world where we have Zoom and we have Google Hangouts, and we were spending so much of our time with these entrepreneurs in different cities, not just in Chicago. And what we learned from that was we can have partners and team members anywhere in the country. So at one point, I asked my partners, "Hey, can I move to Wenatchee? My wife's from here. I'm from here." Yeah. So we kind of moved here as an experiment to see if we could do Prota from here. And just over time, several of us have kind of cropped up here now. We've got a kind of a local presence here in Wenatchee. Yeah. But we now have partners and team members all across the United States. We kind of, the three biggest areas are actually Chicago, New York, and here. But then we have a new growing team across the seas over in Europe now.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. It's new for us.
Well, hearing your passion for the early stage of something, your company is also in the early stage,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
It has a lot of growth potential.
Yes.
So congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. Now we have to head out to a break soon, but I'd love for you to share maybe some advice or trends you've seen with entrepreneurs. If someone's listening in and they're getting ready to start a company, or in the early stage, what's something you would share with them?
I'd say two things. One, be generous. Be really, really generous with your time, everything. But two, as an entrepreneur, shiny objects are really exciting. The new thing is really exciting. So I would say learn focus. Learn when and how to focus, because it's really easy to always do that new product iteration or that new idea instead of like honing in and finishing the one you need to focus on right now. Yes.
That's great advice. I think that applies in most things as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, Perry, thank you for coming on air. I know next week we're going to have one of your business partners on air to kind of go a little bit deeper, but we'll have to have you on in the upcoming months to see what's new at Prota.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thanks for coming on. We have to head to a commercial, but we'll be right back after this. We are back on air with our second guest for today, Bert Holton, Managing Partner of Success Optimizers. Welcome to the show, Bert.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on air. You've been a longtime advisor and supporter of GWATA, so thank you for that work. And you've been a longtime supporter of entrepreneurs. In fact, you've built your career on supporting entrepreneurs. So for the audience who may not know you, tell us more.
Well, okay. So as an entrepreneur, I guess the first thing that would mark me as such was I started my own aerospace company back in 1987 with a good friend of mine. And the aerospace company was Western Honeycomb in Auburn, Washington, and we became Boeing's #1 quality supplier for 3 years because we learned exactly what the customer wanted and what we're supposed to do and how to do it right. And so that was my start of that. And then from that, there was a big downturn in the aerospace company in '95. So in '95, we had to close the company, and I got back into into consulting, which I was doing before that, and I got almost all of my first customers from Boeing.
Because they had a great
Because
experience with
they knew exactly who I was, what I did.
Yeah.
So they would say, you need to go in and help this group. You need to go in and help this group. So that's how I kind of got from there to helping companies as a consultant.
What is it about helping companies that speaks to you so much? Why do you love your work? I know this wasn't on the questions I sent you in advance, Bert, but I know you're so passionate about entrepreneurs.
Well, entrepreneurs is a tough deal. Okay, but I'm really passionate about business. And what I'm passionate about is that business owners, treat their people well, treat the community well, and do their business optimally. And I want them to help do that, because anything less than that, and they don't have the success they want, the people around them don't have the success they want, the stakeholders don't get a good situation with the company. So it's just, I love to fix them up to the point where they're just really great.
Well, you said, I think, too, the term in that last sentence that are in your name of your new initiative, success optimizers. You want to help them be successful, and so I can see where you may have landed on that name.
Cool.
What does success optimizers do?
Well, success optimizers is a team of companies that we have all sorts of different expertises in terms of consulting, coaching, and professional services, all the way from CPAs and finance people to IT and so forth. And we are a series of companies that we've teamed together to form Success Optimizers. Now, the marketplace for Success Optimizers is not necessarily brand new companies. We're really looking for companies that are about $1 million to 15 or 20 million that have been around a while, and that have an owner that's really interested in either expanding or getting his company better and so forth. And then we can come in, and it doesn't matter what their issue is, we help them take everything on and help them grow or whatever they want to do.
You know, it's really interesting. We had a Perry on earlier. He was talking about working with these startups who are, some of them just in an idea phase. They don't even know if they're going to have a business to have legs. And you're working with entrepreneurs who've really come to market, have a successful business, but need to take it to the next level. So I think it's really kind of unique contrast. What have you found at Success Optimizers that the processes that entrepreneurs really need to fine-tune or tweak that are holding them up?
Okay, so the reason that we come with everything that a company can possibly need is because over the years it's been my experience that this organization could have this situation. They could have people issues, they could have finance issues, they could have marketing and sales issues and so forth. And so we need to have all the disciplines coming forward. So we approach these organizations with this model. So the first thing I do is I go in and meet with the owner, and I say, if you're the owner, Jenny, where are you going to take your company now? Over the next couple of years and so forth, what's your vision of where you want to take your company? And then you would tell me, we'd have that and so forth. And then I would say, well, okay, where are you now? Now, you're going to have an opinion of where you are now, but then you and I have a discussion of maybe it'd be a good idea for us to come in with a whole new look as to where you are now, which is what is your current reality. Now, that's all based, I brought a little show and tell thing.
I love that.
This is all based on the Peter Senge model.
Okay.
Okay, so over here was the vision I was talking about, your vision, and over here is the current reality. And in Peter Senge's model, there's a big rubber band stretched between them, okay? And of course, Peter Senge, for his book, calls that creative tension. And you know what you call it? Stress. So,
I like that.
so what we do with them is we say, okay, we're gonna come in, here's your current reality.
Right.
Well, the tighter the rubber band gets, what happens to the tension of the owner?
It's just increasing.
It increases, right?
Right.
Meaning the further apart the vision is from current reality, the more tension there is. Okay. And so what we do is we talk about the current reality. We say, okay, these are all of the critical issues that are preventing your current reality from reaching your vision. And then we put a plan together to resolve each single one of those. And those can be in a number of different disciplines in our organization.
Fascinating. I can see that applying also to personal life as well.
Touche.
Right.
So let me go there for just a second.
Right. Yeah.
So the same exact model applies to personal life.
Right.
In personal life, what so many people do is to relieve the tension, they take their vision and they move it back toward current reality. That's what a lot of people do, which is a shame.
Right.
In business, if they want to do that, we don't work with them.
Right.
We're only there to help them move current reality up to their vision.
You want those entrepreneurs who want to put the gas on, not pull off of it. They want to keep moving forward.
Yeah, but we want them to do that in a realistic manner that's going to be successful for them.
Now you talked about the disciplines, how your organization has really brought in experts. Who's on your team? If you want to briefly share some of your business partners at Success Optimizers.
Yeah, we have the Equilus Group, which is in personal finance as well as corporate finance and all sorts of ways to model companies and so forth. We have August Edge, which does both the CPA work and the real estate work for us. We also have Express Professionals, because people always need good people, no matter what. So we need to have someone that's part of our team that's always looking for the right people for people. Then I take care of organizational structure. I take care of the human development, which is huge. Okay, and then we have other people that are professional groups that aren't within the company, that are strategic partners, take care of IT, and some of these, most of all this is in Wenatchee, but some of them are on the west side, okay, and some of them are in Tri-Cities and so forth. So wherever the professional services or the consulting services we need are, we have the professionals ready to come in for that specific need.
You've got a team in that you can bring to the table for those entrepreneurs.
Right.
Now, Bert, what advice, you've kind of given some great advice about this reality and vision too, as we kind of wrap up for today, if someone's listening in the audience, they're an entrepreneur, they're in that place you were talking about, they have a successful business, but maybe their vision isn't quite there, what advice would you give to someone who's listening in today?
Well, okay, what I find when I go in and talk to people is the thing that I would like them to know better is the first thing is to have self-awareness. Who are they as a leader? Who are they as the manager? Who are they in terms of potential to success of their company? So that self-awareness, I think, is very important. Once they have that, which we have ways of helping them get that, by the way, but once they have that, then we say, okay, then what kind of people do you need to bring in around you based on who you are and how you think about things that are going to enhance your company? They're going to optimize all the stuff going on around your company. And then that's the great foundation. And for, like you said, in personal life too, people people don't have self-awareness, you know. It's one of the big things in life, but in business, once we deal with the entrepreneurs and owners that get this self-awareness and then realize, what would it be like to work for you, Jenny? And you go, huh? Would you hire you? And we look at these surveys and so forth that we give them, and it's really, really revealing to them of, oh, wow, okay, then it looks like I need to get things organized this way, or I need to approach things that way.
Kind of helps you give a lay of the land, I suppose, through that awareness process.
Exactly.
As far as gaps and moving forward.
Which is probably something you've never heard anyone say about what's the one thing that entrepreneurs should know. Yeah,
you hear a lot about grit and vision, and I love that piece about self-awareness, because as you said too, not only does it apply in a business setting, but in our personal lives. Right.
Well, business is part of our personal life.
It is. Well, Bert, I want to thank you for coming on air to share a little bit about Success Optimizers and your journey, and of course giving advice to our audience. We look forward to having you on in the future to maybe dive in deeper into what you've been doing with companies right here in town.
That'd be great.
All right.
I would enjoy it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bert. We have to head out to one more commercial break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. I want to thank you for spending the last 30 minutes with us on GWATA TV. It was a real joy to have two different guests on talk about how they're supporting entrepreneurs, as well as give their advice if you're an entrepreneur listening in today. I encourage you to learn more about Prota Ventures and Success Optimizers by visiting their respective websites. You can also visit us at GWATA.org. We're here to be a resource supporting entrepreneurs right here in North Central Washington. We hope to see you back next week, right here on the NCW Life Channel.
Since 1999, GWATA has served as North Central Washington's Tech Alliance. As a 501c3, our mission is to bring people and technology resources together to create a thriving community. Through our work, we aim to inspire, engage, and connect.